Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, hockey fans. It is a temperate 10 degrees Celsius, 49 degrees Fahrenheit in a bright but cloudy Bridgewater, Nova Scotia today. My name is Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to the Friday, May 13th edition, Friday the 13th, of the Bridgewater's Finest 2016 NHL Playoffs podcast. So last night we had Game 7, if you want to call it that, between the Nashville Predators and the San Jose Sharks from San Jose. I say if you want to call it that because I think only one of the teams showed up. Well, one player for the other team showed up. San Jose dominates the Nashville Predators 5-0 in Game 7 on home ice. Shots in this game were 27-20 for the Sharks, but that number does not dictate the way this game went. The Sharks win the series 4-3. They move on to the Western Conference Final to take on the St. Louis Blues. Aside from the physical aspect of this first period, where hits were 16-14 in favor of the Nashville Predators, this first period was not competitive in the least. In the entire first period, here is what Nashville put on the board. 3 shots on goal, those aforementioned 16 hits, 5 shots that missed the net, so more shots that miss than shots that actually get on goal, and 7 blocked shots. That's it. Not 3 shots on goal in a whole first period. It's not good enough coming out in a Game 7 scenario. This is a team that won a Game 7 in the first round, so it was frustrating, even as a non-fan, like not part of the Predators fan base. It was frustrating for me to sit there watching this, like, what is this game? In any case, this first period really was not all that competitive. Pekka Rinne, the only Predator that showed up to play on this night, he makes some solid saves early, stopping Logan Couture, Jonas Donskoy, Melker Karlsson, Brent Burns with a big shot. So, I mean, it's dangerous shooters for the Sharks, and Pekka Rinne equal to the task. Your Game 6 hero for the Nashville Predators, Victor Arvidsson, gets tagged for an early delay of game penalty, and the Sharks make him pay for it. 9 minutes and 2 seconds into the first period. San Jose on that power play. It's Joe Pavelski, his 9th goal of these playoffs. He's having himself a heck of a season. Marleau and Thornton draw the assists on that one. They cycle the puck down low. Marleau gets the puck to Pavelski in the slot for a snapshot. Pekka Rinne had very little chance on that one. San Jose up 1-0. And this is the point in the period where Nashville really starts to amp up their physical play. They really start hitting more after that 1-0 goal, but the problem with it is they're not generating anything off of that physicality, generating no offense whatsoever. As we mentioned, they only had 3 shots and 8 attempts, really, in the whole period. Pekka Rinne, though, still coming to play. He's still backing his team up. Pekka Rinne stones a Joe Pavelski deflection, then robbing Joe Thornton on the rebound in the late first period. At the other end of the ice, Marc-Edouard Vlasic comes up with a big shot block on a James Neal shot attempt. The Sharks turn it around in transition. 16:51 into the first period. The Sharks have doubled their lead. It's 2-0. It's Joel Ward. It's his 2nd goal of the playoffs. Melker Karlsson and Marc-Edouard Vlasic draw the assists on Joel Ward's goal. It was just a nice little chip and chase. Like, Vlasic blocks the shot. Karlsson chips it up the boards. Ward chips it away from a defender, beats a defender to the puck, and makes a nice little deke on Pekka Rinne. He does bump into him. So this one was, I think, questionable for a second or two. But Pekka Rinne, I mean, for one, is way out of his crease. So, I mean, he gets bumped, but I don't think that bump ultimately impeded his ability to make a save. I feel like Ward had already beaten him 5-hole at this point when he gets touched. So that's my impression. What did you guys think of that goal? Did you think that was one that should have counted? Did you think it was questionable? Did you think maybe they got the call wrong by leaving the goal standing? What do you guys think? Sound off in the comments section below. In any case, San Jose now up 2-0. Shea Weber takes a bad interference penalty late in the first period. That carries over into the second, and as that penalty expires, just 36 seconds into the second period, San Jose has now tripled their lead. It's 3-0 off the stick of Logan Couture. It's his 7th goal of the playoffs. unassisted. First of all, Couture loses the faceoff in the offensive zone for the Sharks. There's a turnover at the line in center ice. Couture forces a second turnover off of Shea Weber. That's what pressure can do for you. Couture all of a sudden is in alone. Wrist shot. He beats Pekka Rinne. It is now 3-0 for the Sharks, and this game is starting to get away from the visiting Predators. One of Nashville's few minor pushes in the second period, well, really in the whole game, sees Martin Jones finally step up, make his best saves of the game, stopping a Shea Weber slap shot, and that's a feat in and of itself, as well as a wrist shot from James Neal, and you know how dangerous that James Neal, Mike Fisher, Colin Wilson line has been throughout this entire series. Martin Jones comes up equal to the task on both of those chances. The physical play, too, carrying over here from the first period. Edge definitely going to Nashville. It's the only aspect in this game where Nashville was competitive / had some kind of an edge. Second period hits were 23-14 in favor of the Predators. So again, they're hitting, they're just not generating anything off of it. And to illustrate the fact that they're not generating anything off of that physicality, here are the time intervals between Nashville's shots in the second period. And this, to me, is unbelievable. Again, these are time intervals from when Nashville takes a shot to when Nashville gets another shot on goal. We're not talking about misses or blocks from the Sharks. It's registered shots on goal. 3 minutes and 11 seconds, 49 seconds, 5 minutes and 34 seconds, and 1 minute and 40 seconds. That does not include the amount of time taken between Nashville's last shot of the second period and the end of the period, which was another, I believe, 4 or 5 minutes or something like that. But look, we're talking about just unfortunate amounts of time between shots, and the Predators have just 8 shots through 2 periods. Not enough to get it done, even if the game was only 1-0 or just 2-0. Not enough to get it done. Certainly not at 3-0. Second period ends with the last thing that you want to see if you are a Predators fan, which is Mattias Ekholm taking a stupid cross-checking penalty at 20 minutes, like at the end of the second period. You can't do that, because now you're going to go into the third period knowing that you're starting that period on the penalty kill. It's just bad mojo, and the Sharks do it to them again. 32 seconds into the third period on that power play, San Jose's got their fourth. It's Joe Thornton, his third of the playoffs. Couture drawing the assist on that one, his second point of the night. And it's off of a steal, a turnover. The Sharks generate a 4-on-1. 4-on-1. Not great. Logan Couture with the wrist shot on goal. That is stopped. Joe Thornton grabs the rebound, tucks it under Pekka Rinne. It is now 4-0, and the Predators are virtually out of this game. To their credit, Predators try to answer. They get 3 straight attempts. Now, they all miss the net. But, I mean, it's effort. At least it's something. It's something to kind of try and build off of. Shea Weber with a big hit on Joonas Donskoi in the Sharks' zone. However, the Predators get caught pinching. The Sharks are now in transition up the ice. Another odd man rush. 3 minutes and 54 seconds into the third period, they basically all but ice this game. San Jose scores again. It's Patrick Marleau. It's his 4th goal of these playoffs. Couture and Vlasic draw the assists. That is now Logan Couture's 10th assist of these playoffs. He's into double digits. A 2-on-1 for San Jose with Couture and Marleau. They do a little give and go. It goes back to Marleau, who started the play. He risks it home behind Pekka Rinne, and Rinne mercifully at this point gets pulled out of this game. Again, he showed up to play. Nobody in front of him showed up to play. Not even Shea Weber, who is one of the elite defensemen in this league. Nobody showed up to play for the Predators outside of their goaltender Pekka Rinne, and he shows that frustration by smashing his stick over the post. Nashville at this point playing for nothing but pride and heart and determination. They do get, and honestly, when they make that goaltending change, when they pull Carter Hutton into the game, the Predators do turn it around. Too little, too late. But from that point, shots on goal were 11-1 for Nashville. So they get a push. The second half here of the third period, really most of the third period, was basically Nashville's period. Unfortunately, they're down 5-0 at this point. At that point, Martin Jones becomes the story. He stops all 11 of those third period shots after the goaltending change, including a nice deflection from Arvidsson, a slap shot from Ryan Ellis. Jones also stopping a James Neal slap shot from in close. There's a loose puck in front of him. He doesn't know where the puck is. He actually looks behind him because he thought it beat him. He doesn't know where the puck is. But here's the difference in this game. Had that happened to Nashville, it would have been 2 or 3 Sharks that would have been right in front of Pekka Rinne, slamming away at that loose puck trying to score. Since it was the Sharks, there were 3 Sharks in front of their own goaltender, telling him where the puck is, tucking it into his pad so that he can cover it up. That's a perfect microcosm for the game right there. Nobody on Nashville's team had Pekka Rinne's back in this game whatsoever. The Sharks played a full team defensive game. They played really, really well, and on an occasion like that, when the Predators might have been able to garner some kind of rebound, boom, there are 3 Sharks players there to cover that puck up. The Predators' pressure does equate to a late power play here. Braun takes an interference penalty on Colin Wilson. This is Nashville's best chance to at least get on the board, get some sort of respectability at the end of this game, and they generate just 2 shots. Just 2 shots on the late power play, not going to be enough to get it done. Late in the game, Nick Spaling beats Gostad twice in the faceoff dot late in this game. Gostad, arguably one of the best center icemen in terms of faceoffs in these playoffs. Spaling beats him twice in the dot late. That ends the game. Nashville, here was the story of the game for Nashville, really. They had 21 giveaways in this game. That's way too many. When you're averaging 7 a period, it's just too many. You're giving the puck away way too many times. Combine that with the Sharks' 22 shot blocks. They really got into that shot blocking game late in this game. Simply not good enough. The effort was not there. The Nashville fan base knows it. Everyone who watched that game knows it. The effort simply was not there. Sharks, too many to not enough for the Predators. Sharks are moving on to play the Blues in the Western Conference Final. Okay, folks, one more time. Here's how the rest of this episode is going to go down. We're going to obviously close the book on the second round in the Western Conference. Then we're going to go into my full round 3 predictions. It's probably a bad thing that I'm doing my full round 3 predictions on Friday the 13th, but what are you going to do? Round 3 starts tonight, so not exactly a whole heck of a lot we can do about it. So it's going to be the full-blown round 3 predictions coming up later on in the episode. We got a little piece of news out of Los Angeles, and then we're going to tee up tonight's Game 1 between Tampa and Pittsburgh. So round 2, I'm going to pat myself on the back. I was 4-0 in round 2. I killed round 2. It was awesome. So St. Louis and Dallas. Obviously, St. Louis wins that series in 7 games, beating Dallas convincingly in Game 7 in Dallas's home building. I said St. Louis was going to win this series. I said they were going to win it in 7 games. It's a perfect prediction for Bridgewater's Finest. Now 6-5 on the playoffs. Pulled myself back up over 500. And if you're looking for maybe the singular reason why St. Louis won this series above all the others, it's the play of Brian Elliott, but specifically the play of Brian Elliott on the road. In this series in Dallas, Brian Elliott was 3-1 against the Stars, who were a good home team this year. 3-1 against the Stars, a sparkling 169 goals against average, and a 949 save percentage. When you have your goaltender not only playing well, but can play that well and on the road, you take that disadvantage of not having home ice and you turn it into an advantage. Brian Elliott, damn near unbeatable in Dallas in this series. There's your biggest reason right there, I would say, that the Stars are not moving on. St. Louis wins it in 7, just like I said they would. Perfect prediction for Bridgewater's Finest. I wasn't exactly perfect in the other series, but at the end of the day, I got the right team, and that's really what matters. San Jose defeats Nashville in 7 games in that series. I said San Jose was going to win it in 5, and as I did yesterday, I'll do it again here today. I'm going to apologize to the Predators fan base because I did not give the Predators enough of a chance in this series. But the San Jose victory means that I am 7-5 now picking these series. Now 2 matchups above 500, which is excellent. I really only need to get one of the next 3 in order to finish above 500, but let's be honest, we want to finish 10-5, so that's what we're going to be shooting for. But if you're looking for the singular reason why San Jose is moving on over Nashville in this series, I would say you look no further than the special teams in this series. San Jose on the power play in this series was 8 for 21. So you're better than 1 out of every 3 power plays. You're getting a power play marker, and especially the way the power play played at home. In San Jose, this power play was 6 out of 11, better than 50% on the power play at home in that series. So if you're looking for the main reason why San Jose is moving on, I would point to the performance of their power play, and certainly a guy like Logan Couture who just killed it in this series, and he is now leading the NHL in playoff scoring. All right, folks, this is what you're all here for. Round 3 playoff series predictions, 2016 NHL playoffs. Let's do it. Round 3, the Eastern and Western Conference Finals. We're going to start in the Eastern Conference. The Metropolitan number 2 Pittsburgh Penguins playing host to the Atlantic number 2 Tampa Bay Lightning. Pittsburgh does have home ice advantage in this series. Season series between these two teams was dominated by the Lightning. The Lightning won all 3 games, 3-0. One of them did go to overtime, I believe. Tampa Bay won that one as well. They outscored Pittsburgh in those games 15-9. Just as an editor's note and a podcaster's note, I do not expect many 5-3 games between these two teams in this series. Regular season, Pittsburgh was the number 3 rated offense in hockey, 2.94 goals scored per game, while Tampa Bay was just outside the top 10, ranking in at number 12 at 2.73. In the playoffs, Pittsburgh is the number 2 offensive team in the playoffs. They are averaging 3.36 goals scored per game. They're doing very, very well. Tampa Bay has also taken a big jump. They are the number 4 now rated offense in these playoffs, scoring exactly 3 goals per game. In fact, you're going to notice as we go on, the 4 teams that made the conference finals are the top 4 highest scoring teams. Defensively speaking, based on the regular season, this is a battle of the number 5 versus number 6 ranked defenses in all of hockey this season, and the difference between them is literally 2/100ths of a goal allowed per game. Tampa Bay was number 5 at 2.41. Pittsburgh was number 6 at 2.43. In these playoffs, a little bit of a different story. Tampa Bay still has the edge here, but Tampa Bay is just playing unbelievably in terms of their defense in these playoffs. They're the number 2 ranked defense in these playoffs, allowing just 1.9 goals per game. That's a credit not only to Ben Bishop, but it's a credit to that big, fast, mobile back end that Tampa Bay deploys on a nightly basis. Pittsburgh, no slouch here. They're the number 4 ranked defense in these playoffs, allowing 2.27 goals scored per game. In terms of special teams, neither of these two teams had a great power play in the regular season. Pittsburgh was middle of the pack at number 16 in the league. Tampa Bay, I think if we recall, had the worst power play of any team to make the playoffs. They were only the number 28 ranked power play in the regular season. Now, in terms of the playoffs, Pittsburgh currently sitting at number 3 in terms of power play efficiency, so they're doing very well. Tampa Bay has jumped up a little bit, but they're still only the number 9 ranked power play in the playoffs so far this year, so the power play edge definitely going to the Penguins. On the penalty kill, both of these teams were top 10 in terms of the penalty kill in the regular season. Pittsburgh at number 5, Tampa Bay at number 7. In these playoffs, they flipped that script a little bit. Tampa Bay's penalty kill has been unbelievable in these playoffs. They're the number 3 ranked penalty kill in the playoffs. Pittsburgh ranking in also at number 5. Sidney Crosby was obviously the top scorer for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the regular season. Another 35 goal, nearly 50 assist campaign, 36 and 49 for 85 points. Phil Kessel has actually taken up that mantle, and again, like I said, that's the reason you go out and you get a guy like Phil Kessel. Kessel currently leading the Penguins in playoff scoring, 5 goals and 7 helpers for 12 points. On Tampa Bay's side, Nikita Kucherov was a bit of a surprise in terms of being the top scorer for the Lightning this year. 30 goals, 36 helpers for 66 points. It is Tyler Johnson who is leading the way, that top-line center for the Lightning, leading the way for them in these playoffs. 4 goals, 9 helpers for 13 points. In terms of which team has the goaltending edge in this series, for me it's Tampa Bay, but it's very slight. In terms of how Ben Bishop has played versus how Matt Murray has played, there's a 3/1000th of a point difference in their save percentage. It's 938 versus 935, I believe, are what the numbers are. So it's literally 3/1000ths of a point in a difference in save percentage. It's just Bishop has got those 2 shutouts. Bishop, to me, is the more dangerous goaltender. He's the home run hitter in quotation marks, if you will. He's more likely to be able to kind of take an entire game on his back and win a game by himself. That's why I have to give the goaltending edge in this series to Tampa Bay. But based on the numbers and performance in these playoffs, it's very slight. Eastern Conference Final, Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. Who do I think is going to win? I've got to give it to Tampa Bay, and I'm going to take Tampa Bay in 6 games. Reason that I'm taking Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh has played the better caliber of opponents. Pittsburgh has had to beat the Rangers and the Capitals, while Tampa Bay's only had to beat Detroit and the Islanders. There's almost no comparing those series. Like, Pittsburgh has been through much more difficult series. To me, Tampa Bay looks unstoppable from a defensive perspective, and I'm just firmly under the belief that defense wins championships in virtually every team sport. So I have to give Tampa Bay the edge defensively, and I have to give Tampa Bay the edge in this series. I like Tampa Bay to win the series in Game 6 on home ice. Tampa Bay going on to the Stanley Cup Final. Make no mistake about it, though, that's going to be a close series. That series is going to be fun to watch. Now let's go to the West. Western Conference Final. The St. Louis Blues, the Central number 2 St. Louis Blues, playing host to the Pacific Division number 3 San Jose Sharks. Season series here, the Sharks won 2 of the 3 games in their season series, outscoring the Blues 9-5. Offensively speaking, St. Louis was a middle-of-the-pack team in the regular season, number 15, 2.67 goals scored per game, while San Jose was a top 5 offense this season at 2.89 goals scored per game. Take a look at the playoffs. St. Louis has made a huge jump here in terms of their offensive output. They are the number 3 offense in these playoffs, 3.14 goals scored per game, almost a full half goal more per game than they did in the regular season. That's great for them. But you take a look at San Jose, they've also really increased their output. They are the top scoring team in these playoffs, 3.42 goals scored per game. Defensively speaking, St. Louis has matched their output exactly in these playoffs that they did in the regular season. In the regular season, they were the number 4 ranked defense in hockey, 2.43 goals allowed per game, and they've hit that exact clip in these playoffs, 2.43 goals allowed per game. That only ranks them, though, number 8 in terms of playoff defenses. San Jose just barely inside the top 10 in terms of defense in the regular season. Number 10, 2.52 goals allowed per game. In the playoffs, they've stepped their game up. They're the number 5 ranked defense in the playoffs, only allowing 2.33 goals per game. A definite credit to Martin Jones. St. Louis, a top 10 power play in the regular season, ranking in at number 6. They rank at number 4 so far in these playoffs, so their power play still very, very explosive. San Jose also had a obviously phenomenal power play in the regular season. They were the number 3 ranked power play in the regular season, and they are the number 2 ranked power play in the playoffs so far. And again, that was the primary reason that I thought that they beat Nashville. In terms of the penalty kill, San Jose had a bad penalty kill the regular season. They were only ranked number 21 in the NHL in terms of their penalty kill. They've done a little bit better in the playoffs. They're currently ranked as the number 7 best penalty kill in these playoffs. St. Louis had a top 3 penalty kill in the regular season. They ranked in at number 3. So far in these playoffs, actually not doing quite as well as San Jose. They're just a little bit under 80% at the 8th ranked penalty kill. Vladimir Tarasenko led the way for the Blues in the regular season, another 40-goal season for him, 40 and 34 for 74 points. He is also leading the way in terms of playoff scoring, 7 goals, 6 helpers for 13 points. It is also worth noting that Robbie Fabry also has 13 points for the Blues. I believe it's 3 goals and 10 helpers. Joe Thornton, obviously top scorer for the Sharks in the regular season, a 60-assist campaign, 19 and 63 for 82 points. And as I mentioned earlier in the episode, Logan Couture not only leading the way for the Sharks, but is the leading scorer now in these playoffs, 7 goals, 10 helpers for 17 points. We take a look at the goaltending edge in this series. I thought about this for a long time, thinking about what was more important, save percentage versus goals against average, and whether a guy's gotten pulled or whether he hasn't gotten pulled, how much he's played, how much he hasn't have to play, everything like that. In taking everything I could into consideration, I have to push this goaltending matchup. Brian Elliott, so far in these playoffs, he's played more games, he's had more work, and he's got a better save percentage than does Martin Jones. Martin Jones has better goals against average and has not been pulled thus far in these playoffs. Now, granted, Elliott's only been pulled 1 time, so it's not a Dallas situation where they're changing goaltenders every day. But we have seen Elliott struggle at least once and get pulled. And we've also, I don't know, I have to push it. I'm too weak. I'm too weak to make a decision here. But in terms of the goaltending, Elliott versus Jones, gotta push it. All right, Western Conference Final, San Jose versus St. Louis. Who do I have winning the series? I'm giving it to the Sharks. I like San Jose to win this series in 6 games over St. Louis. This boils down to nothing more than a gut feeling. And look, make no mistake about it, both of these series are coin flips. These series are going to be close. They're going to be fun to watch. These are both coin flips. This one, though, more so than the Eastern Conference, I really think this is just literally a gut feeling. I feel that the Blues are the better coached team. I love Ken Hitchcock. I think Hitchcock is an unbelievable coach. So I feel that they have the coaching advantage over the Sharks with Peter DeBoer. But St. Louis can be beaten at home. We've seen that in these playoffs. Chicago did it. Dallas did it. San Jose can do it because they're a very good road team. So we've seen them. They can be beaten at home. We've seen Brian Elliott get pulled. Again, granted, it's only been once, but we've seen him get pulled. And that Sharks top line, man, that top line is so good right now. And then the second line. So the top 2 lines are just rolling so well. And that's going to be a fun matchup. That Logan Couture line taking on that line with Robbie Fabry, that's going to be a great matchup in this second round. I can't wait to see how that goes. There's balanced scoring on both sides here. I just like the Sharks' home run ability better than I do the Blues' home run ability. And I don't know. Again, it's a gut feeling. Call it what it is. That's exactly what it is. I like San Jose. So I like San Jose to win this series in 6 games on home ice to beat St. Louis. If the series goes to 7, I like St. Louis at home. But I'm going to take San Jose in 6 to lead to a Stanley Cup final of the Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the San Jose Sharks. Like I mentioned earlier, just a quick piece of news here out of Los Angeles. Kings coach Daryl Sutter has signed a new contract to return to coach the Kings next year. The terms have not been officially disclosed, but the terms are rumored to be 2 years plus a team option for a third, average annual value of $3 million. So it's an investment, but it's a good investment in my mind. It's a guy that has won the Kings 2 cups recently. Like he's, 2 cups within memory. And I mean, he's a good coach. Don't look at the fact that they got bounced in 5 games this year by a better team as any kind of reflection on Sutter's inability to coach. This is the right coach for this team. I would not be surprised if in the next 3 years, Sutter lifts another cup for the Kings, then maybe retires with his 3rd cup. Definitely a 3rd cup is going to get you into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So Daryl Sutter, I mean, I think he belongs in Los Angeles. That's where he's going to stay for at least the next 2 years with the team option for a 3rd. What do you guys think about the Kings re-signing Daryl Sutter? Do you think it's a good signing? Do you think it's not a good signing? Would you have liked to see him go somewhere else? Sound off on that for me in the comments section. Well, I think this is the longest episode we've done in a while. Okay, let's tee up tonight's game. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Final. As I mentioned a little bit before, Pittsburgh does have home ice advantage in this series. Game gets underway at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It's available on CBC in Canada as well as NBCSN in the United States. And just to let you know, I will keep mentioning that, but CBC and NBCSN are carrying this entire series. We know Ben Bishop will be the goaltender for the visiting Tampa Bay Lightning. We're not 100% sure on who the goaltender is going to be for the hometown Penguins. There are still question marks as to whether Pittsburgh may elect to play Marc-Andre Fleury in this game if he's healthy and ready to go, which it seems like he is ready to go. They may start Fleury in Game 1 of this series over Matt Murray. We don't know how it's going to go. There's been no official announcement yet. They're still keeping that one pretty close to the chest. Who do you guys think, before the official announcement is made, who do you guys think is going to start Game 1 for Pittsburgh? On Tampa Bay's side of the ice, Anton Stralman practiced, I believe, for the first time in a full contact jersey. No word yet on his availability for Game 1 or moving forward in this series, but it's good for the Lightning and their fans to see Anton Stralman, who is a big part of that really good defensive core for Tampa Bay. It's good to see him back in a full contact jersey, that's for sure. The Penguins are the team between these two that unquestionably generates more shots and more offense, which is going to be a good thing in this series because when you're against Ben Bishop, you may need 35 plus a night to get to that sort of third goal, which in most games you're probably going to need to beat this Lightning team. Not very often the Tampa Bay's only going to score 1 or only going to score 2. So you're going to need to get that third goal. So then you may need 35 or more shot attempts per game on Ben Bishop. It's good. Pittsburgh has been able to generate it's over 32 shots per game so far in these playoffs. So that's a good sign for them. And I think they're going to need that in this series. Both of these teams are very fresh. They've played just a combined 21 games between the two of them. Pittsburgh is 8-3, Tampa Bay is 8-2. So these are two teams that are very fresh. That's going to make for a great game tonight. I expect it to be explosive, really, really well played. I like Tampa Bay tonight. I think Tampa Bay, and maybe it's just a gut feeling, but I think Tampa Bay gets off to a good start in this series, taking home ice advantage away immediately. I like the Lightning to win tonight by a score of 3-1. Maybe that third goal is an empty netter. It's really weird to try and call this game because we don't know who the goaltender is going to be for Pittsburgh. If it's Marc-Andre Fleury, is he rusty? Maybe he gives up a couple early. It's going to be a very unpredictable game. You don't really know. But my official prediction, I'm going to take the Lightning by a final score of 3-1. All right, folks, that is going to do it for the Friday, May 13th edition of the Bridgewater's Finest 2016 NHL Playoffs podcast. Here's hoping that it's a lucky one for me. One more time, I like Tampa Bay in 6 games to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, and I like San Jose in 6 games to beat the St. Louis Blues for a Stanley Cup final of Tampa Bay versus San Jose. You heard it here first. Let them know where you heard it, Bridgewater's Finest. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Friday is in the books. Thank you very much, and we will see you again on Saturday.